All right, guys, welcome to a very special episode of Southwest Ohio Full Court Press. As you guys all know, I'm Seth Keim. In my top right here, I've got my partner in crime, Mr. Tony Peters. Tony, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic, Seth. Finally glad to get back at it after a short, little brief hiatus there. How about yourself, my man?
Can't be happier, man. We're in the full swing of AAU season. Kind of wrapping up the first part of the season before we all take a break a little bit in June and jump to July, which is part of what got us going today. So, guys, for all of you here, we've got a couple of guests with us. So first I want to introduce Matt Bowman. A lot of you guys may know him previously with Miami Valley Hoop Vault. He recently just segued into starting his own media outlet, Tri-State Hoops, but he'll also be joining us on a part-time basis on the podcast. So Matt, first of all, welcome, buddy. We're happy to have you. Tell us a little bit about what you've been up to.
Excited to be here in the presence of the best AAU coach in the Dayton area, Tony Peters. Sorry, I had to do that. Tony. No, excited to be joining. So I started Tri-State Hoops, probably a month or two ago at this point. I had moved back down to Cincinnati from the Dayton area, and when I came back down here, I decided driving to Dayton was too far. It was I was driving 40 minutes to an hour to each game I was going to, so it was a lot. And so what I had noticed is Cincinnati is a ripe area for high school basketball, as is Northern Kentucky and Southeast Indiana. Yep. Frankly, I would not have known about Southeast Indiana basketball if it was not for Max Preps, right? That's the only avenue that I knew about Lawrenceburg High School in Southeast Indiana, and I went and covered them a couple times, and they're phenomenal. So I thought to myself, why not bring all three of those areas together into one media outlet and cover it in one outlet? So Tri-State Hoops was born about 2 months ago, and I've been attending AAU games and looking forward to next basketball season.
Cool, man. Well, we appreciate you joining us. And then that brings us to our guest of honor tonight. We've got with us Mr. George Washington III, Ohio State commit, formerly of Louisville Christian Academy, right, George?
Yes, sir. Christian Academy of Louisville.
Christian Academy of Louisville, all right. And to start off and break in to this episode, soon to be joining this next school year with the Chaminade Julienne Eagles out of the GCL here in Dayton, man. That's a big move, yeah?
Yes, sir. It's a big one. I'm really excited.
Awesome stuff, man. I guess just kind of getting started, since that's sort of the big news of the day, especially for those of us in the Dayton area. Kind of talk us what precipitated that move, kind of what brought you guys up here. I know it was more than just your decision. It was more of a family decision, but maybe just talk about that a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Well, first, like the whole move to Dayton, it starts with my dad. I'm originally from Texas. I lived in Texas for 16 years, and 8 of those years he was the assistant women's basketball coach at University of Texas. Their staff didn't get re-signed, so he kind of was in a break between jobs, and he came here and was a coach at a all-girls school for a year, and then the assistant AD at Cal with me. And when Tamika Jarrett got the job at Dayton, Ohio, or University of Dayton, she hired him as an assistant coach. So that kind of started the move. When it came to picking schools, I think really what it came down to with CJ is that for me and all my brothers, it like hit us right away that we loved it. It felt like somewhere that we all felt really comfortable being. It was like a place that we all thought like we could see ourselves coming to school here. And, the basketball program has a rich history. That really helped. And we just felt like it was the best situation for me, the best situation for my younger brother, Jackson, and for our youngest, Jaden.
Yeah, definitely. You kind of hit the nail on the head with CJ, just the history of the program in Dayton. I mean, they produce so many Division I athletes. Obviously, you'll be the next line in there, and obviously your brothers. Kind of talk a little bit about what it's going to be like. Obviously, you'll be able to play on the same court as your two brothers this upcoming season. Is what are the feelings going into that, knowing you're going to get a shot to be on the same court with them?
I mean, I'm honestly really excited for it. I think this is going to be a really breakout year for Jackson. Last year he had a game with us. He put up 43 points. He was 11 for 13 from the 3-point line. Me and him have a real good connection, playing together already on the court, where, I'm always drawing, defense's attention, and having someone to find and look to that, is going to hit that shot, really changes the game. It makes defenses change how they play, and it really opens things up. And with JJ, I'm really excited, because I feel like it's going to put him on a spotlight where people can see what he's doing. Because, younger brother always plays up with big brothers all the time. I'm excited he's going to get to show off his toughness and his skill too. So I just think that CJ is going to be a great place for all of us to grow, and really do that and win games.
Now, who's the best player between the three of you?
Man, I have to say me. That to me, that's the only right answer. But honestly, I think with the growth that they've made, they're gonna give me a run for my money at some point.
I'll just say next up mentality, man. Got to get it going. Yeah, no, we definitely we caught a little bit of Jackson playing over at the Super 16 tournament this past weekend. Saw yourself as well, so it was cool to get to see both of you guys. See how your games differ from each other, and man, boy, y'all are gonna be a force to be reckoned with. That's for sure.
Sir, thank you.
I guess kind of going off of that, just a little bit of a segue. Talk a little bit about the AAU season currently. I know initially, sort of towards the beginning of the season, you were with JL3. Now you're running with All Ohio Red. Maybe just kind of talk about that a little bit, how that change came to be, and where things stand right now.
So, JL3 actually was the first EYBL team that ever reached out to me. Being from Texas, living at Texas from the time, we actually got connected with Lucas when I was in 6th grade. I went to one of his camps and absolutely loved the competitiveness that he's able to get out of people. He's been around the league for a long time. He knows exactly what he's talking about. And, we just started from there, driving from Austin to Houston to work out every couple of weekends in the morning. And eventually when he started the AAU team, we decided it just made sense to go to him. So we played with them last year when we had just moved up, while we were kind of moving into Kentucky. And then, the EYBL and AAU has the bordering state rule. And on top of that, All Ohio was just a great program. You can't get any richer of a history when it comes to EYBL teams. They're in Columbus, so it's gonna be close to my future home. And honestly, I think from first tournament with them too, everything just kind of fell into place where I was this I can fit in here. This is somewhere that I can be myself. All my teammates play within their games too, and we all just clicked, So I'm really excited for that aspect. We actually have a session coming up this weekend in Louisville, Kentucky. So I'll be playing at home for now, one last time for AAU, and that'll be exciting.
Now,
Absolutely.
One thing I wanted to also ask you about, obviously, with you playing with two different EYBL teams, you've gotten to play in two different parts of the state. The Deep South with JL3 being out of Texas, and obviously All Ohio Red in the Midwest. Very contrasting styles of play at time. Talk just a little about the biggest differences you've seen, especially on the EYBL, playing in two different regions for that matter.
Well, I think the biggest difference is kind of comes to like the tournaments that we'll go to outside the EYBL. For the EYBL, you kind of always play. Like, I mean, you're not playing the same team as everyone, but it's always a toss up where, who, and like who you're gonna end up playing, and you kind of always have to be ready for that. I'd say the biggest difference has to be that in Texas, I think everything was like it was just kind of Bulldogs every single game. Like everyone you play, it's going to be one of the most physical games you played against some of the best athletes you played. And it just continuously doesn't give up. And I think the competitiveness that they have down there is insane. And it's part of kind of what like revved that up in me, being younger and growing up in there. I think up in the Midwest, like the skill set that everybody has and the IQs that teams play with and the way everyone thinks throughout the game is on a different level. Like you'll play a team that you might not even think could hang with you, but they have guys that know where to get to their spots and they really get the best out of every single guy. I think that was really something different. Like playing AAU tournaments where like you're playing a team that, like every night they have, like every team is filled with guys that just are really highly skilled.
Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. And I think if I can add to that too, I mean, and you can vouch for this, I'm sure, if you look at like the state of Texas, I mean, I think there's like 9 to 10 shoe circuit teams between Nike, Adidas, and Under Armour. So you're talking, I mean, a very high pool of talent, and really, I mean, talked about those tournaments outside of EYBL. Did you find yourself with JL3 playing other shoe circuit teams outside of the EYBL?
Oh yes. I remember trying to believe. I think it may have been my 15U year. We were playing 3D Empire, who ended up, if I can remember right, winning it all in the independent tournament, like the National Independent Tournament. We played Drive Nation consistently. Trey Young Elite. We pretty much played any shoe circuit team from Texas, from Oklahoma, like that. It's just a rich like pool of talent, and it kind of turns into like you play everybody like consistently because all the top teams chose to go to the same events. But it really like bred like a lot of competitiveness between everybody.
Absolutely. So obviously, the three of us have seen you play. I mean, several times. I know I've seen you play a few at the EYBL, as did Matt, and then that, like Seth said, we saw you all play this past weekend. For those of you, the people and listeners that aren't necessarily seen you before, what would you say is your best attribute or kind of makes you unique as a basketball player?
Mm-hmm. I'd probably say for me, I think my best attribute, I think my communication is really something I pride myself on the court. But I think skill set wise is really my ability to handle the ball and get shots off, but also really score on and off the ball. That's something I really think makes my game special, and just kind of that versatility with that.
Oh yeah, I can definitely vouch watching you play. You definitely have like a flair and competitiveness to your game. There was in the game on Sunday, I forget who you guys were playing, and you got a turnover and then a layup, and then just kind of I don't know if you were yelling at the kid or if you were just yelling at yourself to kind of get pumped, but I could just tell you had that fire in you that really kind of, I saw your teammates start to really build off of that or feed off of that. So I would add to that definitely the flair that you bring and that intensity. I mean, that's got to help any team you play for, whether that be all higher red, JL3, or obviously next season when you're in Columbus.
Yeah, I think the actual words were, "Boy, you better guard me."
Yes, sir. That sounds like it. Yes, sir. Yeah. I'd say that probably goes back to the Texas roots. And also just being just having brothers. There's always a lot of competitiveness that comes through that. Just always also being around sport, like competing is just something I've always done. And anyone who knows me knows I love to talk. So I think the two of those just kind of come together like that.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of friendly competition, little John here and there.
Oh,
Heck no.
No, sir.
So George, I know we kind of mentioned this before, but future home Ohio State. So two-parter here. One, why Ohio State, and two, you're playing with Devin Royal and Dalen Swain, who are from the Columbus area. You trying to recruit them to Columbus with you?
Okay, I'll start from the beginning.
Fair enough.
I'd say with Ohio State, they were my first offer. June 15th, I will. June or July 15th, whenever the first time that sophomore year when you can be in contact with coaches, and they gave me my first offer on my visit there, and that meant a lot. They had been recruiting me for a while from that point, and I think it was crazy because I wouldn't even say being from Texas I was the most familiar with them before I moved up here. But I quickly became very familiar with their program just from, they were very interested in me from the beginning. And, I felt that. I think just from being on their campus too, the energy from a Big Ten school, that feel on campus, it hit me in a different way. I think being on campus, one of the first things I told my parents after we left the visit was seeing just on the academic side and school life, I was whenever I pictured myself going to college and being on the campus and walking from class to class, and I was this is the kind of place I always pictured in my head. And, that always stuck with me. And then, of course, I think seeing how their coaching staff viewed me and how they view, implementing me into their game when I get there, and seeing that vision they had for me was another thing that really stuck out to me. And like I said, with the energy, being there for football games and seeing how they care about their sports, and being there for basketball games when they played the team up north, I think it really made it hit for me. I was this is a place I want to call home. And then, as for the recruiting, I try. Those guys, they very much like to play their cards close to their chest with their recruiting processes. And you have to respect that. But I'd say I wouldn't be complaining if they showed up with me too.
No, yeah, certainly. To have you be coming to Dayton and getting to take it, taking your game and being prepared to see you guys play this upcoming season, and that knowing that talent's staying in state. I know I may be a little biased because I've been an Ohio State fan for a really long time, but man, I would be lying if I said I wasn't absolutely stoked to see where you guys can take it over the next few years.
Sir, thank you.
Is it safe for me to say I'm a Michigan fan?
You said what now?
I don't think so.
I'll leave.
Yeah,
I just
I don't think
that we know George is truly a Buckeye because you referred to them as the team up north. So
yeah.
Yes, sir.
Man, Matt, dude, you're burning the goodwill you had. You're burning it right now, dog.
It's okay. I'm just nervous. I'm nervous for basketball season in a couple of years. I'll just say that.
To say the least.
Yes.
So one kind of changing topics here somewhat a little bit, George. So obviously now that everyone now knows you're going to be at CJ, the GCL, the league that the Eagles play in, it's a tough league. You got Alter, who just came off of a state Final Four Division II a year ago. Carroll was in the district final. CJ themselves were in the state semifinals 2 years ago. Then obviously McNicholas just a year ago as well. So obviously with the GCL comes the students and the benches. Everyone's competitive. It's a very tough league. And with you being a high-profile name, I'm curious, how do you keep focused when you're on the floor, or how do you kind of almost block out the haters, especially in situations like you'll see at CJ when the student sections are right there on the floor and right there in your ear?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I honestly say I embrace it. I really love it. Playing here this year, actually, I got a lot of attention from crowds and student sections. I believe one school we played had a kid dressed up as George Washington, the president, with a powdered wig and all. I can honestly say I think I got overrated chants at every single game I played. And it's something that, like, honestly, I embrace. Something my dad told me and that stuck with me is, pressure is a privilege. Not everybody has a chance, to even feel that to begin with, and if people feel that kind of way about you, it normally means you're doing something right. So, I'm very thick-skinned when it comes to that stuff. Probably another thing, and, I'm a competitive person. So whenever I get that, it's always just kind of in my head that, just prove them wrong, show them why they're wrong, and just keep going.
I love it.
I'm gonna have to go to the Halloween shop and buy a George Washington outfit for Bowman to wear. If you guys end up clashing with any Cincinnati schools in the state tournament.
Yeah, I'll come film a game in a George Washington outfit.
Bet.
Sounds great.
Then at least you got a friendly one on your side. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Well, I can tell you, being a Carroll alumni, that those student sections, they do their homework. So I'm sure you're going to see plenty of George Washington memes, or I'm sure someone creative will definitely dress up. So that response you had, because it definitely takes a strong person, not just physically but mentally, to kind of block that out, especially in those big game situations like when you're on a Friday work.
Yes, sir.
As we're kind of on the topic of sort of looking towards next, this upcoming season and what it might all entail, what would you say some of your goals are as you kind of start this new chapter here in Dayton, or what you're most excited for outside of, obviously, we talked about getting to play with your brothers, but what's most exciting, about coming up here and joining CJ?
Mm-hmm. I honestly, I'm just looking forward, to being in a new environment, especially in one like that's going to be my new home state, and just getting back there. I'm really excited for that opportunity. I think personally, well, I think team-wise, I mean, my goal, I want to win state my senior year.
Yeah.
I think in Kentucky, I kind of got, I guess the school we went to was almost like got the short end of the stick when it came to teams that we had to beat to make it to the final. We had Ballard in our district, who was like a consistent like fourth team, like fourth in the state. We had Mail in our region who was second in the state, and we actually played them first round of regions. So I'm excited to, be in a new environment. That competition was like really good for me. And, being in a new place, hold on.
Well, it ain't going to get too much easier in D2, I can tell you that much.
Oh no, I'm definitely ready for it. I think what I was trying to say is that, I think being in a new environment, I can't wait, just to get the shot. Like I love playing against the best. That's why I'm really excited about what you said about the Catholic League. Like that just makes me excited for this year. And I want it'd be really special for me and all my brothers, especially to make it to state my senior year, and like the 1 year we're all on the team together. Personally, one of my goals is to really like hunker down on the defensive end. I want to be like I want to be when I get to college like a first team all defense caliber player. And that's something I'm trying to like really hone in on for myself. Because offensively, I feel like that's been a focus for me for so long in my game. It's time to really broaden that to both ends of the court. So I think those are pretty much my goals for the next upcoming year.
Some pretty good goals, kid.
Now, have you done a lot of research yet on just kind of teams in D2 that you may have to see, not just in Dayton, but just as a state as a whole?
Not too much research. I mean, I've talked to my team a lot about it. I'm pretty sure Dalen Swain, his school is D2. Will Maxwell's school is D2. Laurent Rice, their school is D2. So I know that I haven't done too much research, but that kind of like gives me already like an idea of the caliber of guys I'm going to be going against. And I'm excited for that. That was one of the big things also that we took into consideration with schools, was like the talent level that we're going to be able to play, the level of competition that we're going to face, so I'm excited about it.
Oh yeah. And like we said at the beginning, I mean, the history CJ had, you're going to a school that the expectation with Coach Zabo and with that program is you're making it as deep as you can in March. And, you've got a pretty good, besides your brothers, you've got some really good players returning, including Evan Dickey, who's
yes, sir.
Did you get a chance to meet him, or have you got a chance to meet anyone on the team up to this point?
Yes, sir. Actually, Evan Dickey actually gave me the tour when I went on the visit there.
That's awesome.
He's a great kid, plays with Midwest for Midwest, great program. So, I think seeing how we like fit into the program, and then seeing that like it's a great situation, great history, like the guys on the team like take it seriously and they want to work, like I think it's gonna be great.
Well, I can tell you right now, I'm looking forward to seeing if you guys get a battle with Laurent and Wayne. That'd be a good Ohio matchup. But I think the one that I would really love to see, and I'm sure Matt and Seth will agree with me, is you guys in Centerville, so we can see those Big Ten guards. You going up against a Gabe Cups from IU.
Oh yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
We'll see if we can't figure out how to get that on the docket somehow, some way. I don't know. I might have to call up Coach Cups and start begging. I don't know.
Yes, please make it happen.
Well, and then to add to that, with Powell now going to Centerville, that's a matchup I think everybody and their brother wants to see.
Mm-hmm.
And
that would be great.
That'd have fire on all levels. No, that's cool, man. That's really cool. I don't know. You got a handful of us on the call that have some pretty good knowledge about the Southwest region in Ohio. I mean, you got anything for us? Any info we can help fill in for you at all?
I mean, I guess I just ask, like, coming into next season, where should the place be that I should be most excited playing at, like, just in terms of like getting that fan reaction, like, and turnout?
I can tell you right now, it's probably going to be Trent Arena. at Kettering Fairmont. Yeah. It's an actual arena behind Fairmont High School. Have you heard of Flying Hoop?
No, sir.
Okay, so well, with you being here at CJ, hopefully Coach Zaba tries to get in the event this year. But it's the number 2 ranked high school event in the country. It's played over there. I mean, and even that event itself brings in thousands and thousands of people across the country to watch. And that's just for that event. When you go into Fairmont home games, I know Alters hosted games there in the past. I mean,
especially big ones. Yeah.
I don't know.
Wouldn't be surprised if some of them try to book Trent Arena for a couple matchups with CJ.
I don't think Alters ever sold out Trent for a GCL game, but I mean, it close in the past, especially when Luke Kennard was there a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then from my personal experience, I think you'll find playing at CJ itself. I mean, it's such a smaller gym and it's a little more compact. So
it's loud.
Small student section, they're going to sound like double what they actually are. That's just me personally. Again, from playing in the GCL years and years ago, I going to CJ and playing there. So being on the home side of it, you're going to have that advantage going your way. But I'd say Trent and CJ are probably going to be your best 2 if I had to guess, if I had to bet.
Oakwood too.
Oakwood, yes.
Oakwood's arena is insane. Like,
yeah, if you get a matchup,
it's one of the weirdest.
That's one I've been talking to him about. As soon as we found out.
What is it? Is it the Pit, Tony?
The Pit. It's called the Pit.
It's the Pit. The baselines are like 3 feet wide, like all the way around, and the fans are looking down at you. It's actually really it's really loud.
Very loud.
Yeah. So
it'll be it's a cool place to play. Yeah, it's a little different dynamic with the court being down. I mean, the baseline pads, you go just a couple feet above that, then is where the fans all set out around the top side. So everybody's looking down, and it gets stupid loud in there.
It's really loud, yeah.
I think you're going to find, regardless of where you guys play, the Dayton area as a whole is so passionate about basketball, from regular season games to tournaments to showcases, kind of like Flying to the Hoop, that you're going to get energy in gyms, whether it's a Tuesday night, a Friday, a Saturday, heck, a Sunday game at 11 o'clock at Flying to the Hoop's going to be packed out. This is a fun city to play basketball in, dude.
Yes, sir. I cannot wait to get there.
I'm trying to think of what else.
Who is your inspiration in basketball? Like, who's kind of helped make you the player you are today?
I'd say that's probably like a loaded thing. My dad definitely. My sister, she was a McDonald's All-American. She played at the University of Texas for my dad. She's in Spain right now playing pro. I think those two, I think really like with my sister, just seeing someone like seeing your sister like reach that level, and play at that level is an eye-opening experience. Where she's flying out to go play in the McDonald's All-American game, and then flying out to go play in the Jordan Brand Classic, and the Nike Nationals Championship, and like all just seeing her reach all of that, like being a top 10 player in her class, that was something to me that was eye-opening, where I was like, okay, like this is like, I mean, you always say you want that, but like now it's like something that I have it right here, like it's so close to me. Like I just have to follow like how she worked, and be chasing her and her legacy too, to get there.
Absolutely. I guess then, just on a personal note, just because we got a lot of people that listen to the podcast that are at all levels of basketball. You're a top 50 kid in your class. You're a D1 commit. you live, breathe, eat, sleep, everything basketball. If you had to give advice to kids, whether they're, competitors that you're going to be playing or younger kids, what sort of advice do you have coming from and being a part of all of it? The attention, the recruitment, all of it. What advice would you give?
I think for me, it'd be to live in the gym. I'm very big on confidence. I think God blessed me like with a lot of talent, a work ethic. So, I try to honor him with that. And, I just say to kids, live in the gym. That's how you're going to build your confidence. And it's that work is real. Going out on the court, you can always have, a fluke good game, a fluke bad game, but where the consistency really lies is all in the gym. That's a big thing, and then also, don't put too much into, a good or bad game. That's also where the work comes from. You have to be confident in who you are, as a person and as a basketball player, and not let your worth kind of get drawn up into either of those two too much. But I think those are like the biggest things I tell them.
That's awesome. Guys, you got anything else?
One last question I'd like to ask you, and it kind of goes towards a little bit off of what Seth said with the attention. I don't know where exactly you were at in the state of Kentucky. I'm assuming if we're not the top player, you were definitely in that top 2, top 3 conversation.
Mm-hmm.
In Ohio, you've got 2 teammates that are considered to the top kids, Dalen and Devin. Obviously, down in Matt's neck of the woods, you got Rayvon out of Cincinnati Taft. Out of this area, Gabe Cups in that 2023 class. Up in Northwest Ohio, you got Austin Parks, who's going to be your future teammate at Ohio State at Memorial. I guess my question for you as a player that's actually in that spotlight with national rankings, state rankings, how much attention do you actually pay to those rankings? And does that kind of motivate you in a way if you're not the number 1 player, or like how does that help motivate you, I guess would be the better question.
Mm-hmm. For me, the thing I really that really flipped a switch for me kind of recently, I feel like it's good, I pay attention to the rankings because, seeing your name up high, it's nice. It's a feeling like when you're little, you always wanted to see. So it's nice, kind of to see like your work pay off in a way. When you see guys ahead of you, it really motivates you to work harder. But I think the thing that clicked for me recently is, there are guys who are up that high, who don't make it. There are guys who are a lot lower who even aren't on the radar who do make it, and, when I was in Texas, I wasn't on the radar at all. So, like all of this was really new, like coming into my sophomore year. Before that, I'd say I was probably like nobody knew who I was. So I think that like knowing that is really like centralized my focus to, staying in the gym and realizing that, as long as I'm producing, and I'm getting my work done, the results are going to show, and that's going to take me where I'm meant to be.
I like that a lot too. I mean, you obviously I talk to a lot of kids, or I've asked that to kids that obviously are not in your position where they're blessed enough to be at the top. I mean, I know I coach kids that aren't even ranked in a lot of rankings, or, kids that are in the low 30s, 40s. And, a lot of kids, it seems like that's a common theme, is they use that as that motivation that, I know I'm better than this, or, this guy's wrong, I'm going to show him why. So, I definitely was curious, coming from someone in your position, how much of that, take into account, because like I said, I think there's a lot of people, and I would even make the argument that you could be inserted in as a number 1 player in Ohio, or if not, you're definitely in that top 3, top 4 category. So I was just curious as to like I said, kind of how you kind of look at that when you see rankings like that, if it does motivate you. So I appreciate you answering the way you did.
Matt, you got anything, dude?
Yeah. One last question. Coming into a new environment, obviously you've done it before, but like what's the biggest adjustment you need to make, either personally or mentally, like coming into a new environment next year?
I think for me, it's just kind of, getting acclimated, knowing, I'm very much like a leader. I love to like walk into places, and talk and like kind of, initiate a lot of things. But I'd say for me that never really changes. But when I go into new situations with that, it's a lot more of a learning. I take it a lot more as a learning opportunity. Because everywhere you go, there's always something that you haven't picked up, or there hasn't, or something that you don't know. So, I think whenever you go into a new situation, you always have to be confident who you are, and hold that supreme confidence. But you have to really be open to, learning and realizing that you don't know everything. So I think that's kind of like my mentality coming into the new environment. Just being confident in me and being open.
Good stuff. All right. Last thing I got, and I'll have to apologize to Matt ahead of time. But OH, buddy.
Hi-yo.
Go Blue.
Awesome, man. Well, I think, that covers a lot. We really appreciate you taking the time and joining us. It's not every day that we get to talk to a kid of your caliber, in your unique situation, and where you stand in the country and the state rankings, coming into a new city, where we're all really, really excited to see, what you guys can do. And we're just looking forward to it, man. But we really appreciate your time.
Sir, thank you guys.